Why Jesus really walked on water, and it's not just about faith. After Jesus feeds the 5,000, he sends his disciples ahead by boat while he goes up on a mountain to pray alone. Mark 6:45-46. That night, a storm hits. Around 3 to 6 a.m., the disciples are struggling against strong wind and waves. Suddenly, they see someone walking toward them on the water. They're terrified and think it's a ghost. But Jesus says, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." In Greek, Jesus literally says, "I am," echoing the divine name God gave Moses in Exodus 3:14. I am who I am. This isn't just comfort. It's a declaration of divinity. In Job 9:8, it says God alone treads on the waves of the sea. In Psalm 77:19, God's path goes through the sea, though your footprints were unseen. Jesus doesn't part the sea like Moses. He walks on it. Why? Because he is God. Just like in Exodus 14, where God parts the Red Sea to deliver Israel, Jesus now walks across the stormy Sea of Galilee to reach his people. But this time he doesn't split the chaos. He walks right over it, showing his authority over it. In Jewish thought, the sea represented chaos, danger, and even the underworld. So when Jesus walks on water and calms the storm, he's showing his power not just over nature, but over evil itself. Then something amazing happens. Peter says, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water." Peter isn't testing Jesus. He's doing what disciples were trained to do. Imitate their rabbi. Jesus replies, "Come." Peter steps out and starts walking on the water toward Jesus. But when he sees the wind, he gets scared and begins to sink. He cries out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reaches out and says, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Matthew 14:31. The Greek word for doubt here means divided in two, trying to trust and fear at the same time. Peter wasn't afraid of the water. He was afraid of the wind. He lost focus. The problem wasn't the sea. It was taking his eyes off Jesus. And that's the lesson. When we fix our eyes on Jesus, we can walk through any storm. When fear takes over, we sink. After Jesus gets into the boat, the wind stops, and the disciples worship him. "Truly, you are the Son of God." But even then, they didn't fully get it. Mark 6:52 says, "They had not understood about the loaves. Their hearts were hardened." They had just witnessed Jesus feed over 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and now he walks on water. Yet they still didn't grasp the full picture. But we can. Jesus isn't just doing miracles. He's retelling the story of the Bible, showing that he is God in the flesh. He is the new Moses, the Lord over chaos, the one who rescues his people. Not just from physical storms, but from spiritual darkness, too. 3 cosmic threats that echo Revelation. While NASA scans the skies with billion-dollar satellites, the Bible may have already warned us about what's coming. Astronomers recently identified asteroid 2022, a 140-meter-wide slab of rock and metal hurtling through space at 25,000 miles per hour. It has a rare 3.2% chance of colliding with Earth in 2032. That might not sound huge, but in asteroid science, it's alarming, especially when smaller ones have already leveled cities in history. Revelation 8:10, a great star blazing like a torch fell from the sky. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter, and many people died. When asteroids strike, they don't just explode, they contaminate. Toxic metals are vaporized, spread through the atmosphere, and rain down into rivers and springs. Revelation calls this bitter water, a perfect match for what modern science calls acid rain or heavy metal poisoning. The second looming danger doesn't come from space rocks, but from our own star. Solar scientists warn that we're now entering the peak of solar cycle 25, a period of violent solar storms. These flares are so powerful they can overwhelm Earth's magnetic shield, disrupt power grids, and, in extreme cases, let deadly radiation scorch Earth's surface. Now let's listen to Revelation 16:8. The fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and it was allowed to scorch people with fire. For centuries, people dismissed this. How could the sun scorch us from 93 million miles away? But now science knows coronal mass ejections can cause direct radiation exposure, burning skin, frying electronics, collapsing infrastructure. John wasn't guessing. He was describing what scientists only recently discovered: judgment from the heavens. Revelation 6 paints a haunting scene. The stars of the sky fell to the earth like figs shaken from a tree. Today, astronomers call them asteroid families, clusters of debris that travel in packs. One breaks off, the rest follow. John describes not a lone object, but a storm of impacts. Exactly what Earth would face if even one large asteroid splintered in orbit. Revelation doesn't name dates, but it names patterns. Cosmic events, environmental disasters, poisoned waters, radiation burns. Once dismissed as poetic imagery, now they read like scientific forecasts. Why does the Bible say, "Surely every man at his best state is altogether vanity"? Psalm 39:5. This startling question comes from the psalmist's lips, reminding us that even at the peak of our pride, we are fragile and fleeting before the Almighty. David confesses that all his accomplishments and honor melt away like a wisp of smoke. The span of human life is but a handbreadth, and the richest man stands as a mere breath before God. Solomon echoes this truth when he surveys life under the sun. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Every venture and pleasure without God is ultimately empty. Job, the most righteous man, laments that man who is born of a woman is few of days and full of trouble. He comes out like a flower and withers. Even at our best, our flower blooms briefly and then fades. Wealth, power, and even good works fail to stop time. They are swept away on the same breath of eternity that fades our life. We chase the illusion of worldly success, but it slips through our fingers. James warns us, "What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes." Isaiah paints the picture of human glory. All flesh is grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. Our grandest achievements and proudest titles are as transitory as morning dew. To the eternal King, every man's finest hour is like grass under his breath, momentary and fading. But this is not a message of despair, but a divine perspective to lift our eyes upward. From on high, our fleeting life finds meaning in God's eternal purpose. Though the grass withers and the flower fades, yet God's truth endures. Our Father who sculpted the stars sees beyond our short days. He anchors our souls on his everlasting word. Therefore, beloved, hold loosely the vanities of this world and hold fast to the one who is eternal. Let this truth bring reverence, not resignation. For in the brevity of life we find urgency to seek God. We trust that though our days are few, God's loving purpose is unfailing. This is the end of this episode. Follow for more.